Okay, hello. You might need some light weights, a ball, or you can do balled up socks, and then either a band, a strap, any of those things. We're going to go ahead and get started onto the floor and hope you get to follow along. There's always modifications. You can make everything easier and everything harder. So we'll leave this to your discretion, what's best for your body. We're going to go ahead and start by tightening your abdominals, 3 fingers, and start poking the belly, poking the belly. Everywhere that there is no, anywhere there is no bones, start poking. You have something called the transverse abdominis. It wraps around your torso, and it is the beginning of that core idea. It wraps around you like a girdle. And when you poke this, it makes it feel like, hey, something's trying to get into my organs. And so at this point, we want to make sure that we have a strong enough transverse abdominis that tapping it makes it contract and start warming up, knowing, hey, I'm going to have to do my job here and keep my organs protected. You're going to go ahead and bring the hands to the side. We're going to move to the pelvic floor here. Feet are shoulder width apart. Don't lift your butt up, but your hip might rock. You're going to squeeze your rectum, your private area, your urethra. You're going to try to hold all 3 of them and then release. You're going to squeeze rectum, private area, urethra, hold it, and then release. You're going to squeeze rectum, private area, urethra, hold, and then release. The idea is you have 3 floor muscles at your pelvic floor. And when we were young, they were nice and tight, and they held our pelvic floor and our vertebrae nicely. As we aged and as we sat on 90-degree chairs and 90-degree toilets, and we weren't doing deep squats anymore, this became a little bit on the saggier side. There's not holding us up as well, and our torso isn't being held up and supported as well. So the rest of our body has to kind of contort for the lack of the pelvic floor. So we're just trying to get back that pelvic floor a little bit and put a little spring back into the pelvic floor here. And there's those 3 major muscles. So we want to just deal with all of those. Okay, and release those tensions there. We're going to move on to bridges here. You're going to tighten your abdominals, tighten your abs. If you feel like it is time for weights on your bridges, you can put them on the side of your hip bones, feet shoulder width apart, tight abs, tight butt. You can push through the heels, squeeze your butt as tight as you can, lifting your hip into a nice straight hip, and then set yourself back down. Tight abs, tight butt, push through the heels and lift your butt up. Basically, this is what we do when we sit on a chair. We have our hip is folded. We tighten our abs, push through the heel, and we come to a standing. So what we're doing is we're taking a nice way to train your body how to sit and stand, how to squat, how to bend and lift in this nice way that protects our spinal cord. This is great for anyone with hurt backs, anyone who has small glutes, people who have nervous systems who are unsteady. This is a great way to keep their hip engaged, because studies show a healthy hip produces a healthier life and better cognition. You have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come on down. We're going to set the weights to the side, and we're going to hug both of our knees. We're going to bring those toes to the ceiling. You should feel this nice little stretch on the lower of your back here. Keep those feet nice and flexed. I know, like in yoga and Pilates, they love pointed toes. Well, it looks very pretty, but we want to get the most out of our stretch and try to get our Achilles tendon stretched out, our calves stretched out, and really just the whole kinetic chain, so we really get deep into that back. So pretty isn't our goal at this point in time. And you can tell by the way I dress, I'm not worried about that. So I want efficient and helpful. You have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice tight abs. Bring those legs down, feet shoulder width apart. Nice tight abdominals. We're going to bring our right leg to the ceiling, and we're going to flex that foot. Don't point it, flex it. You're going to nice tight your abs. I want you to visualize your thigh bone. Picture if you were watching yourself as a skeleton. I want that thigh bone keeping your abs tight and your pelvic floor engaged and your hips nice and still. I want you to visualize that thigh bone going clockwise circles inside your hip socket. I don't want the other leg to help you along. I want the other leg to stay still. I want the abdominals nice and tight to hold your vertebrae still and to hold that hips, the pelvic bone nice and still. So I want the pelvic bone, think skeleton, the vertebrae, think skeleton, and the other thigh bone, skeleton. I want all of those parts of your body super still, and your thigh bone is making a perfect circle inside the hip socket. You have 3, 2, 1, and bring that leg down. Nice tight abs. Bring the left leg up to the ceiling. Flex that foot. Tighten all the abs, pelvic floor, and clockwise circles again on your left leg. I want that thigh bone to make a clockwise circle inside the hip socket. Don't swing your hip around. Don't swing the other leg around. Find how can you create your nervous system, your ligaments, your tendons to contract and release to allow the thigh bone to create this nice circle that if we were to put sparklers on our legs, it would not be creating little stars, triangles, hexagons. It would be nice little circles. You have 3, 2, 1. Bring that leg on down. We're going to go ahead and we're going to grab oh, I'm sorry, not a strap right now. We're going to put our right ankle, left knee, right ankle, left knee. If that's all you can do, hold it there. If you can go a little further, you're going to push the right knee away from you. If that's all you can do, stay there. If this is easy, you're going to tighten your abs, grab the left thigh, interlace your fingers together, and straighten your left leg with that foot nice and flexed. And you're just going to hold it there, relax the shoulder tension, nice tight abdominals. Now, if you need a strap to hold you up a little bit, you're welcome to get a strap to hold you up, but something must be holding that left leg. It can't just be on its own. That's going to strain the lower back, and we don't want any problems with the lower back. Okay, you're going to bring that leg down and set the leg, and you're going to switch sides, putting the left ankle, right knee, nice tight abdominals. If this is all you can do, just hold it here. If not, you're going to push the left knee away from you. If that's all you can do, stay here. Otherwise, if this feels easy, then you're going to grab that right thigh, interlace the fingers, and straighten the left leg, flex that foot. We want that hamstring to stretch. Again, this is where that strap would come in handy. If you feel you just need a little bit more assistance, this feels good, but you can't quite hold it, feel free to grab a strap and hold on. But do not let the leg just dangle by itself. Something must be holding the leg. And just check your shoulders. Your shoulders relaxed? Are you breathing? This is a great time to just enjoy the stretch. I like my stretches to be over 30 seconds because anything less does not change the body. And come on down. Now, technically, they say 20 seconds. They have shown, but the big study was 3 30 seconds is how you transform ligaments and tendons. So I like to kind of follow along with that. Okay, so we're going to straighten out that right leg up to the ceiling again. I'm going to tighten those abs again. And then we're going to do counterclockwise circles now. We're going counterclockwise circles. So got to now know an analog clock. Picture it on your thigh bone and start making those circles again. Again, your abs are tight. If I had a big cup of water here filled to the brim, it would not be splashing around. Your other leg is nice and still. If I had a stack of pennies on it, it would not be sliding off. So you have to keep all these nice and still because we're working the abdominals, that core transverse abdominis we talked about earlier when we were tapping. We're also working our obliques here, and you got a little bit of lower abdominals working down here also. You're going to come on, bring that leg down, and then tighten the ab, bring the left leg straight up, flex that foot, tighten the abs, and now counterclockwise circles, counterclockwise circles. I have to think about this all the time. Okay, everything's nice and still. Picture the glass of water, picture the stack of pennies. Everything is still like a statue, but that thigh bone, think of the skeleton. making a circle inside the socket. This is how we get thicker sockets that stay nice and strong. We don't want to fall down and break our femur. We want them nice and strong. And these are the ways we're going to help keep it strong. You have 3, 2, 1, bring that leg down. And now we're going to grab that strap we talked about earlier, and we're going to stretch out that hamstring here. So you're going to put your right foot in the strap, straighten the leg first, and then start to pull it up until you feel the knee wants to bend. I don't want the knee bending. A lot of people just want to bring their leg up and then they bend their knee to make that happen. I want that knee straight. It's really important that we learn how to straighten out the 2 back tendons back here, because when we're walking, they're the ones that keep that leg to be able to stretch beyond our other thigh. When you pay attention to how we walk, not everyone brings their leg behind their torso when walking. These are going to be the first signs that they don't have a strong hip. So we want to make sure we start to be aware when we're walking that leg can come behind us. So that's going to require flexible hip flexors and flexible back of the knees. So we're doing that in this one right here. We're going to go ahead and tighten our abdominals, bring the right foot in. I'm sorry, this would be the left foot. Bring the left foot in. Now, so both feet are in your strap, and you're going to remove the right foot, leaving the left foot in, straighten the leg, and then start to pull it back until you feel it wants to, until you feel the knee wants to bend. It should not be painful behind the knee. It should feel nice and comfortable where you're at. You should never feel it in your Achilles tendon. You want to just have this nice from your butt all the way to the middle of your calf feeling right now. Keeping your abs always engaged. So like if a little kitty were to drop on us, it wouldn't knock the wind out of us. Everyone doing okay? This one always is the longest stretch. You have 3, 2, 1, and go ahead and remove that strap. We're going to go right on to marches here. So we've got 2 levels for marches. Level 1, you're going to push your belly button to the spine and your back towards the spine. This is the only exercise on purpose. You're pushing your spine towards the floor. It may not reach the floor, so don't force that. Just you're pushing everything towards the floor, and it engages that transverse abdominis. You're going to keep your knees 90 degrees and bring alternate knees towards the chest. You're trying to come past the hip and just keep marching, keep marching. That's level 1. And I'm going to start us timing right here. So if all you want to do is stay at level 1, let's do it. Otherwise, level 2 would be bringing up both your knees, flex the foot, tighten the abs. As one knee comes to the chest, the other taps to the floor. And then there's one pushing towards the chest and one pushing towards the floor, while your belly button and spine are pushing towards the floor. First thing you're going to notice is, oh my gosh, it's so hard to breathe. Then that's because we have the whole abdominal sections engaged right now. And why this is good for us is it's going to make our diaphragm stronger, because we have to breathe against this tension right here. You have 3, 2, 1, and come on down. We're going to bring our feet and knees together. Engage your abdominals. You're going to open both knees apart, rolling the bottoms of your feet together. Make sure your pelvic floor is nice and tight. Your abs are engaged. Don't let your hips just roll forward. That's going to open up your vertebrae, and we don't want that. We want the vertebrae nice and neutral. So you got to really squeeze the butt, tighten the abs to protect the lower spine. But we want these inner thighs nice and stretched out. You're going to go back to the marching with the breathing. One of the things that happens as we age, we're rounded forward a little bit, and so we don't have as big as a lung capacity because we're constantly scrunching it forward. So that's why I'm always picking on pulling the shoulder blades back, because we want to open up that chest to let more air into those lungs. But another thing is when it scrunched that forward, the diaphragm doesn't have a lot of ability to work and get stronger. So those marches while breathing, while marching, really just adds to the strength of your diaphragm, so that if you get a cold, you can cough it out a little bit better. You can breathe deeper through it better. Nice tight abdominals. Let's bring these inner thighs together. And I want to talk real quick on that stretch. That stretch is important too. As we age, you'll notice a lot of people won't be able to open up their inner thighs. Do not lose this stretch at all. This is really important to keep those inner thighs to stay open. Okay, so next we're going to work on abdominal twist. So we're going to put our hands first, if you have back problems, if you have osteoporosis and your doctor has said no more crunches for you, what you're going to do is just hold your hands to the chest and keep your chin forward, and you're going to push your spine to the floor and relax. Push your belly button. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. If you have osteoporosis and your doctor has said no more crunches for you, you're going to have your head forward, hands on your chest. You're going to push the belly button to the spine, but not your spine to the floor. You just contract the belly button and relax. Push your belly button towards the spine and relax. If you don't have osteoporosis and your doctor says you can do crunches, you're going to put your hands behind your head, tuck your shoulders away from your ears without lifting, keeping your chin like there's a grapefruit between your chin and chest. You're going to tighten your abs and pull your rib cage towards your hips. And then using your abdominals, turn the rib cage to the left, come back to the center, and come down. Tucking shoulder blades, and you're going to pull the rib cage towards your hips, turn to the right, and then come back to the center, and then come down. Tighten your abs, keep the chin nice and neutral here, and coming up, twist to the right, come to the center, and down, and keep that chin nice and neutral. Don't fling your chin up. You're visualizing your abdominals are the ones in charge of turning you to the right. And then nice deep breath, exhale on the way up into the twist and twist. Remember, keeping the shoulders down and then up. Twist the rib cage. Don't twist your neck. Your neck stays with the sternum the whole time. You're turning the rib cage, and you can see that my chin is always lined up with my sternum. I'm not moving my neck. My neck is all lined up with my sternum. So my neck is out of danger of any hurting at all. The goal is I'm training my abdominals to pull the rib cage up, to twist my rib cage, to pull it back to center, and to bring it back down. Bringing up my rib cage, turning it to the side, turning it to the center, and releasing it back down. That's the goal, that all the bread basket here, the abdominal, is the one in charge of doing this. And then come on down and let's release that. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring up our right leg to the ceiling, our left leg to the ceiling. Flex those feet. You're going to bring your arms facing the shins. So hands are facing the shins, and you're going to bring your shin to your hands, but not your hands to your shins. So my arms stay perfectly still. And of course, they're tucked away from my ears, because remember, ears and shoulders are enemies. Do not let them fraternize with each other, because they create a lot of disharmony in the rest of the body. So I guess I should start saying they're just not good for each other, because they're not. They create a lot of problems. And so we're just trying to use the lower abdominals to kind of lift up our hip if we can. If this feels easy, of course, you can always put a weight in between your legs and make it a little harder. You have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring down your arms and your legs. You're going to straighten out those legs, straight out, knees to the ceiling, toes to the ceiling. And we're going to bring our arms up over our head, palms facing each other. But I want like a big beach ball is between your hands. So you're not trying to touch your hands, because that's going to harm the tops of your shoulders. We don't want that right now. If you can't reach your arms overhead, guess what? You get to do a big T out with your palms up to the ceiling. Tuck those shoulders away from your neck, and then engage the abdominals. Thighs are up towards the ceiling, knees are towards the ceiling, and we're just holding it out. So you choose where your hands are to where you feel that nice stretch in your chest. The ultimate goal is to be able to have your arms straight out overhead, palms facing each other. The great news is I have had clients that had their arms hanging way over off the floor, and 2 or 3 years later, they're all touching the floor. This is a great natural chiropractor for your body. Gravity will train your body and the joints how to align themselves. Utilize this free resource we all have and just lay on the floor regularly. The floor is your friend. If you make it your enemy, one day it will punch back at you. But if you make it your friend, you're going to realign your joints. You're going to keep them thick. You're going to keep them flexible. So this is definitely something you want to keep in your repertoire your whole life. Okay, go ahead. We're going to bring up those legs, bring those arms down. And guess what? It is time to get onto our hands and knees. If at any point you're going to say to yourself, I can't get on my hands and knees, there are a couple other things you can do. One is you can buy a stability ball and have it hold you up. Second is use your elbows. You don't have to do always just your hands. Though, again, that whole gravity idea does come in handy again, because if you can keep your shoulders over your wrist with soft elbows, not locked out elbows, but soft, you're going to make your whole wrist complex stronger. You're going to make your hands complex stronger. Everything up on the line is going to work with gravity and make it stronger. So when you're first learning it, you're going to notice your arms are shaking and it feels all achy. That's your nervous system waking up. That is the beginning of getting it all strong again. So don't fight it. But if today you're like, but today I just can't, feel free to drop onto your elbows, or you can get onto a chair and follow along with what's coming up. So this is your chance to find out what your body can do. We're going to go ahead and start with donkey kicks, because we're going to work on our hip complex right now, and with the bonus of strengthening our arms by having it on the floor here. You're going to tuck the shoulders, nose to the floor, nice flat back. You don't want an arched back, and you don't want an overly arched back. I guess this would be concave, and you don't want an arched back. So you're tucking those shoulders, nice flat back, tighten your abdominals. You're going to shift the weight to the left knee. You're going to bring the right heel up, flex that foot, and you're going to bring the knee down and back up. You're going to bring the knee down just halfway and then back up. Now, what happens is a lot of people have been trained on Jane Fonda videos, and they like to bring their leg up and arc their back when doing this. The unfortunate part is then it's just a big back exercise / strainer. I'm challenging you, hold that hip perfectly still. Make it flat, square to the floor, so that if I had a ruler, a slide, no, what is it called? A leveler. If I had a leveler, that your hip would be leveled to the floor, and you're just using your glute to lift that thigh bone. You have 3, 2, 1, and bring that knee down. You're going to shift the weight to the right knee. You're going to bring the left heel up, flex that foot, tighten the abs. You're going to bring the knee just halfway down and back up again. You're keeping it nice and square here to the floor. You're not using your back to lift. You are not going to, if you're doing this correctly, you are not going to be able to lift that knee much higher than your own torso if you're doing this correctly. This is such a tiny little movement, and it's deep inside that hip, and that's what we want. We want the hamstring to work. We want the glute to work. We want that hip socket to work. And if you're moving your back, if you're tilting your torso, it will not engage. You have 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're going to bring that knee down. We're going to sit our body onto our heels. And then if you like, we can come into a full child pose where you drop your head to the floor, bringing your arms up. If you want to take it up a notch, you can turn your palms forward and get deeper into your shoulder capsule here. If you can't get your hip towards your if you can't get your hip towards your heels and your head on the ground, choose the hip instead right now, because we just did a hip exercise. That would be more important right now. You have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice tight abs. Come on up. Everyone doing okay? Okay, we're gonna come back onto our hands and knees. You're gonna tuck those shoulders again, nose to the floor, shifting your leg to the left again, keeping the hip nice and square. Again, picture if you had a big cup of water. You're going to straighten out the leg, flex the foot, and you're gonna tap the toe, lift level with the torso. Tap the toe, lift level with the torso. Again, don't get lost. If you're doing this correctly, you'll barely be able to lift your leg higher than your torso if you're doing this correctly, because you're taking the back out of the equation by tightening your abs. Don't let the back swing. Don't let the vertebrae move. You're keeping your hip perfectly still. This means you could keep a cup of water here and it's not going to move anywhere. That means we're all stuck into the hamstring and glutes to have to do their job. Remember earlier we were talking about not being able to move our thighs very far backwards? This is going to be one that gives us some muscle strength when we're walking to help us to get a little bit further. You have 3, 2, 1, and bring that knee in. We're going to go ahead and switch to the other leg, shifting the weight to the right leg, straighten the left leg, drop the hip, flex the foot, tighten the abs, tuck the shoulders, nose to the floor, tap and lift. It's this tiny little movement. Level with the torso, squeezing the butt. Again, tuck your shoulders, nose to the floor, abs are tight. Don't let the vertebrae wiggle around. Keep the pelvic bone square to the floor. You should feel this burning in your butt cheek and in your hamstring. Abs are tight. Keep breathing. You're almost done. You have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come on down here. This time we're going to thread the needle. We're going to put our right arm through the left arm, bring the left shoulder and face to the floor. You can either keep your hand here or straighten out your other arm. Any of those are correct. If you don't like this one, you can just go right back to a child pose and rest your wrist right now. We only have one more, hands and knees. And this is good for your arms. It's good for your shoulders. It's good for your wrists. Nice tight abs. Come on up. And we're going to switch to the other side. So your butt's sticking high in the air. Your arm is out, palms to the ceiling. You can have your arms 90 degrees or straight out. Any of those are fair game. Just don't let your shoulders tuck up into your ears. Keep them pulled away still. And keep breathing. You have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice tight abs and come on up. Okay, this is going to be our last hands and knees. We're going to do the fire hydrant. So you got this muscle deep in your glute. That's really good for the knee strength and stability. So we're going to tuck the shoulders down, nose to the floor. Nice flat back again. We got this. We could do it. Shifting the weight to the left. We're going to bring the leg straight out 90 degrees and back down. Again, visualize you have a glass of water. I don't want that hip to wiggle with you. I don't want that spinal cord to wiggle with you. I want just the leg to come straight out. And this is going to be a burner. So you're like a little dog using the fire hydrant. Nice tight abs. Keep square to the floor. If you're going out high like they do on the aerobics videos, you're probably not doing this correctly. You got to keep the hips forward if you want the change we're after. Got one more right here, and let's come on down, and we get to shift weight to the right leg, tucking our shoulders, tight abs, flat back. Here we go, other side, coming straight out. Nice breathing, shoulders are down, nose to the floor, and you're just not going, your back is not going. If you had a little marble, it would stay nice and still. Abs are tight. This one's a hip burner. Whew. Feels good. This is how our hip sockets stay strong. Got one more right here. And come on down. Sit into your child's pose for a quick moment to relax your wrists. Go ahead and roll them around. Okay. Stay there for a quick moment. Okay, we're going to come back onto your hands and knees. I want your wrist under your shoulders. Tighten your abs. If we're level this, we're going to try to bring the right foot to the outside of our right hand into a half runner's lunge. This is all we're doing. If you feel you cannot do this, this is where a good chair comes in handy. Go to a chair, come up to the chair, and then bring your foot here and just hold it here. And as time goes on, you'll get lower and lower and lower. But today you might just be right here, and that's okay. But we got to get this hip to be able to fold into this space, because this is going to keep your hip nice and limber so that it's able to do the squats, the bend downs, and the lunges. Say like if you're a gardener or you're trying to pick something up off the floor, this is something we don't want to lose in our movement patterns, because this is the beginning up of, if you fell on the floor, how do you get up? Most likely you're going to come into this type of a position. And then come on down, and then we're going to switch sides, bringing up the left foot on the outside of the left hand. So this is just a half runner's lunge. Again, if this is too hard, start out coming to the chair, putting the other foot forward, and just hold it there until it feels safe. And then if time goes by and you can bring your elbows down, that's great. And as time goes by, you can bring your hands down, even better. But at first, we want to first make sure we can separate these two, because eventually you're going to tuck the back toe under, and then this is how you're going to get up off the floor. So we want to make sure we have that ability to get ourselves up and down from the floor. You have 3, 2, 1, and we're going to come on down. So we're going to just finish out here with our last stretch onto our child pose, sitting our butt onto our heels, walking it out. We're almost done. Just relaxing now. Stretching out the hip and the knees and the arms. You have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Tighten your abs, tuck your shoulders. We're going to come into a sitting position on the floor. And let's try to crisscross our legs the best we can. Nice tall chest. Okay. Roll those shoulders back. And we are done. How do you guys feel? We're doing okay here? Okay, nice job. I like the thumbs up. It's good job, everyone.